Course Plus. Expressway to elegant career.
One of the banes of modern life, particularly in business, and especially if you're an entrepreneur, are the numerous interruptions that you get throughout the day. Interruptions can be annoying and they can distract you from the task at hand. You have to stop what you're doing, deal with the interruption, then resume your task. And if it's something that you're thinking about, you might find that your train of thought has been disrupted. You've got to go back. You've got to try and think about what you were thinking about before you were disrupted, and the whole thing gets to be really difficult and very stressful. And many of the interruptions that we deal with can be eliminated with a little focus and determination. And one way to gain better control is to use a log to record each instance of interruptions. Now, to do this, you want to record the following information into 6 columns. So just take an ordinary piece of paper, turn it sideways, draw some lines down, and then write these things down as and when they happen. Okay, the first column is going to be the date. So you want to record the date of the interruption and keep a log of this just as you would client and customer interactions or any other type of communication that you would deem to be important. And this will help you when you refer back to it for more information. The second column should be the time. Now, many times your days are busier than others, just as certain times of the day are busier than others. And it may not be feasible for you to take, certain phone calls at certain times of the day as opposed to other times of the day. So record the time that you took the interruption phone call, for example, if that's what the interruption is, so that you can notice any developing patterns, any systems, etc., etc. You may also want to record the time in any digital products that you may have, which will make it easier for future referencing and noting. Pay particular attention to patterns developing during a set time of the day, set time of the week, and so on. Okay, column number 3 should be who the interruption was from, who interrupted you. Now, if it's another call from grandma, then log it. If it's another call from the telephone marketers, well, note that too. Know and log who's calling you and interrupting your work during the day. Are there any repeat offenders? You may want to take note of this and adjust your schedule accordingly in order to avoid them. Then you want to note in column 4 what the type of interruption was. What was the information phone call about, if it was a phone call? Is it business related or is it just plain idle talk? And this can be, and it usually is, where the bulk of the time wasters are found. During business hours, it's the time to discuss business and nothing else really. Anything else can wait. And work-at-home entrepreneurs in particular are often the unfortunate victims of people assuming that they're not working because they're at home. And interruption phone calls will sometimes be silly calls like recipe requests or calls to vent your spleen or idle gossip, that sort of thing. So know and record what the conversation was about. And as a sidebar, you might find that it's a good idea to have a second work from home line if you work from home and find you get a lot of phone calls to interrupt you. In column 5, you want to record the length of the interruption. How long are the phone calls lasting if you're getting interrupting phone calls? A few minutes here and there may not hurt, but it can add up quickly. You should be firm yet gentle when you're trying to end an interruption phone call that are fruitless for your business. In column 6, you're going to put a rating. And you want to rate the phone call or other interruption based on the previous factors along with a grading scale similar to this. So anything that was crucial gets a A rating, B is important, C is little value, D is no value. And plan to record this information for about a week or so to get an accurate measure of what's really happening. If it was worth your while, then rate either high or low based on your own preferences. And this will help you to better determine where your time goes and how it's being utilized. If you have accumulated this data for a week, go back and tally up all of the A's, B's, C's, and D's to see where you need to adjust things. Now, most people will discover that more than 50% of their interruptions were C's and D's and were things that were not worth the time spent. After this, you want to analyze each C and D interruption and determine how they could have been avoided. Then you want to take proactive steps to ensure that they will not be repeated in the future. And do this especially for the repetitive interruptions, particularly things like sales calls. And many times people will come to you for information that they could have located themselves. To remedy this, show the person how to find the information themselves, or they're going to continue to interrupt you to come and get it. It's easier for them this way, but harder for you and your available time. Teach them how to get what they need on their own, and then you can devote your time to things that are more important. So there you go, just a few ways that you can avoid interruptions during your working day.